Coming up this week on Inside Drag Racing, an exclusive look inside the Don Schumacher Race Shop. Welcome, drag race fans, to another edition of Inside Drag Racing. You know, we have a special project in store for you today. A lot of you have always wondered what happens with a funny car or top fuel team after the race. You just go sit by the pool and lounge? Not so. Now, this is the day after the conclusion of the Chevrolet Performance U.S. Nationals held at Indianapolis by the National Hot Rod Association. So we came to Don Schumacher Racing operation in Brownsville, Indiana, and joining me now, Tommy Johnson Jr., who drives the Make-A-Wish car. Tommy, let's talk a little bit about what does the team do when they roll in here the next day?
That is the most asked question I get, is what do you do between races? The teams all bring the transporters back to the shop. They'll back them in. There's 14 transporters in this shop, 2 for each team. They back them in, they'll start unloading things. We'll have a team meeting, trying to discuss. Crew chief will tell them what needs to happen this week, what they need to work on, get your inventory of parts that you use so you can restock your trailer, and then they unload the car and go to work.
Now, that team is the same team that goes to the race.
That's true. All the guys that work on the car at the event will work on the car at the shop.
So it's a full-time job.
Absolutely full-time.
It's a profession.
It's more than a full-time job.
Okay. Now let's talk about what they're doing this morning. What are they doing to your car?
Well, they unload the car, and the crew chief has made a decision. We got a special treat for you. This isn't always a normal maintenance, but we're going to front half our car. The chassis is showing some wear. It's not. We scale the car after every race to make sure the balance is still correct. It's not balanced correct. The chassis is fatigued. So we're going to cut the front of the car off, put a new front half on it, and then we'll basically have a brand new race car.
So you send that off somewhere and have that done?
No. We'll do it in the shop. The guys will pull the car out of the trailer, tear it all apart, strip the chassis down to a bare frame, roll it up to a fab shop. DSR has an in-house fab shop. We build our own chassis, mount our own bodies, do all the work, and build the complete car here. They'll roll it up to the guys at the fab shop, who those guys do work at the shop full time. They do not travel. They stay here and build chassis, build front halves, mount bodies. They're doing all that while the team is at the track racing.
Wow, how many employees do you have here at DSR?
DSR employs about 125 people, and about 15 to 20 of those stay at the shop and work full time, don't travel. We have a lot of office personnel, a lot of marketing and PR people, plus all the guys that work on the cars. There's about 11 to 12 guys on each team.
Okay, now, in addition to doing your chassis, you're also doing a top fuel dragster?
Yeah, there's no prejudice here. We're doing top fuel car and a funny car today in the house, putting a new front half on Antron Brown's top fuel dragster, new front half on my funny car. In the meantime, they're doing all the rest of maintenance. 75 minutes between runs doesn't give you a lot of time to service the parts, look everything over, see what happened throughout the weekend. They will go through the pistons and rods and get all the racks ready to go for the next race. The clutch guys will have to go in and grind discs, get all the packs ready for the next race. Superchargers have to be rebuilt, engines will be rebuilt. Everything in the trailer that you ran throughout the weekend has to be gone through.
And in addition, I understand you're getting a new body?
We're going to swap a body out. We trade bodies a lot. All the funny car teams will share a body. We do a lot of one-off paint schemes. We'll have my car that I raced at Indy will be stripped, and that body will go to Matt Hagan for the Dallas race, and it'll be rewrapped in a Freightliner wrap. So my car's coming apart. You'll never see that car again. It's going to be a Matt Hagan car the next time you see that body on the racetrack.
And you're going to get a body. Now, you ran a Riley Hospital body at Indianapolis, right? But you're going back to the Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, we run Make-A-Wish all season. We did a one-off paint scheme, which was a wrap on that body. We will get rid of that wrap and get a Make-A-Wish. We carry 3 of them with us at all times, just in case. You know, I've been known to blow them off from time to time. So we'll have another Make-A-Wish. We'll carry 3 of those for the next 4 races: Charlotte, Dallas, St. Louis, and Reading.
So you send the body out somewhere and get it wrapped?
No, we'll do that in-house as well. We have a graphics department here at DSR. We do all of our own graphics, and the guys will come in and strip that wrap off and apply the new one, and we're ready to go again.
Tommy, you know, at the track, you do a lot of work. I mean, you have 75 minutes to do an engine overhaul.
Right, you don't have time to service all those parts in that 75 minutes. They're replacing parts. They're not servicing anything. They're just taking their stock out of their trailer, putting it in, and rebuilding the engine. What they took out of that engine goes back in the cabinet and gets done here at the shop.
So a lot of people think, gee, you do that in 75 minutes. How long can it take through the week, right?
It takes a long time through the week. You want to go through everything. Everything has a tolerance. If it's not in the tolerance, it doesn't go back in the car.
Folks, I think Tommy might take us on a little tour right here of DSR, right?
I'll show you all we do in-house. It's an awesome facility, and everything we do for racing at DSR, about 90% of it is done in-house. We have a complete CNC machine shop, build our own cylinder heads, our own connecting rods, all the pieces for the clutch, all the pieces for the blower. We're up to about 400 to 500 part numbers now, pieces that we make in-house at DSR.
Meanwhile, when I look out here, I see some old funny car chassis and everything sitting there. What are those for?
Well, they just got outdated. You know, the torque of a 10,000 horsepower engine on a chassis, it takes its toll on it. So after a while, you have to cycle a car out, and you know, you got old bodies that's been repaired. They're too heavy to run. If you want to be competitive, you got to have the best and latest, greatest state-of-art piece. So we cycle a lot of things out, and we sell them off to other teams or souvenirs or, you know, memorabilia for people. But yeah, it's a full-time operation here, building cars, servicing cars. It's never a dull moment.
Okay, folks, we're going to give you that tour. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back with more Inside Drag Racing here from DSR after this. Inside Drag Racing is being brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology, and by the East Coast Drag Times Hall of Fame, coming to Henderson, North Carolina, October 17, 18, and 19, and by Flowmaster, the exhaust technology company, and by Hurst, America's #1 shifter. Welcome back to Inside Drag Racing as we continue our tour of the DSR facility. Folks, meet John Collins. He's the crew chief on the Make-A-Wish team. And John, we've got this newer body all ready to go on now, freshly wrapped and everything like that. I got some questions about the body, okay? Why do you have a hole right here in this side window on each side?
But when the car's going down the track at 300 miles per hour, there's a low pressure system in the cabin area, so that kind of helps bring the pressure back to a normal state.
Wow, so it's like a tornado. They say to open your windows, you know, if there's a tornado coming, so you're letting pressure out.
Yes.
Wow, that's incredible. I bet a lot of people didn't realize that. Now, when I look up front right here, I see two, looks like little patches that you put on the car. What's that about?
These actually are called doublers, and on the other side of these doublers are the tree work for the body.
Okay.
And it was a mandated NHRA safety device to help hold the bodies together when we've had some engine explosions, so it's just more strength to hold the car together.
Oh, okay, so it's double the body thickness.
It's double the pad to hold it together.
Okay, kind of like a backing plate.
Yeah.
Okay, and up here I notice you have a lip on the wheel opening right here.
These lips, we can change the width of them, and what that does is it pulls the air out from under the body, gives us more frontal nose downforce.
Wow.
But the difference is on the rear of the body, you'll notice the wing, and we raise and lower the wing for different tracks, track temperatures, and when you put the wing up, that takes weight off the front, and he won't be able to drive it unless we put a bigger wicker on the front that puts more nose weight on the front of the car.
So when you adjust the wing, you have to change these out.
We will do that, yes.
Okay, you can do it right in the pit area.
We do it in the staging lanes before the run if we need to.
In the staging lanes, you can see guys actually changing these because they're adjusting the wing back there.
Yes.
That's incredible. Let's go back here and look at this wing, folks, and we'll see what he's talking about. Now, is there a limit that NHRA mandates the size this wing can be?
There is on width and height, but as far as our wickers back here in the rear, we can adjust those up and down to our liking.
What kind of downforce do you think you're getting here to hold that car down?
There's probably 6,000 pounds pushing on the rear of the car.
some people have had the theory that a funny car could go maybe as quick as a top fueler if it had the same wheelbase and the rear engine and everything, because the whole body is kind of like a wing shoving down.
That's true, but we have a lot more drag with the size of the body than the top fuel dragster.
Okay.
Which,
and these right here,
they allow the pressure under the rear of the body to be exhausted, like inside the cabin with the holes in the...
Okay, now your team that overhauls this car and works on the car and the engine and the clutch and everything like that at the track between rounds, that's the same people that work full-time here working on the chassis and the engine and everything. They work on the engine?
Yes, they do.
Here. So if you had a problem with the block, you send it out and get it repaired?
No, we repair our blocks in-house. We have a complete machine shop that will take care of all of our needs.
You know what? I think Tommy's over there. I'm going to go take a look at that right now. Tommy, John was telling me you guys fix your own blocks here?
Yeah, we either we spin a bearing in them, or from time to time we throw the rods out of them, and you can see it puts a pretty big hole in them. You can't fix this at the racetrack, so what we'll do, we'll bring the blocks back here. They'll mill all that out and weld a piece back in it. Then they will take this block and they'll put it in the machines over here, the line hone, line bore machine. Make sure the center line's all good. And then when it gets all fixed back in service, they'll ship it back over to the teams.
These are aluminum blocks.
Yeah. Well, if they destroy it too bad, we'll take it for scrap. But you can fix them pretty good. As long as it doesn't get the lifter valley down in the valley where the lifters go,
yeah,
you're okay. You can repair a lot of things.
Yeah, I noticed over there you had bins. One's for aluminum, one's for steel, one's for copper.
You just don't throw it in the dumpster. We recycle it all, take it to the scrapyard, get a little something for it.
Sure, yeah. I'm sure it all helps because it has to cost a lot of money to run one of these teams.
A tremendous amount of money. And we throw the rods out of it. This is not a cheap fix. A little cheaper because we can do it in-house and do it ourselves, but still expensive to fix all this.
And I noticed right over here, you have some heads, so you guys work on your own heads.
We not only repair our own cylinder heads, we manufacture our own cylinder heads in-house.
Really? I'd like to see that.
Let's go.
So this is where you repair heads?
Yeah, if the team hurts the cylinder head throughout the weekend, the team will take and strip all the studs and remove all the valve springs and valves from the head. They'll bring it over to the machine shop, they'll put a tag on it, whose cylinder head it is, and what needs to be repaired on it. Then the guys will take it, they will weld it up if they need to, weld up the combustion chamber, put it back in a CNC, mill it back to where it is originally, and then bring it over here, put new guides and seats in it, recut the seats. Got a CNC machine that does that, so they're always the same. And when it's all done, they'll put it back on the shelf and notify the team to come pick up your cylinder head.
I see you have a furnace over here. You heat them up.
Yeah, you heat them up, put the seats back in them, and then throw them in the machines and cut them.
Wow, absolutely incredible. Now, where do you buy your heads?
We don't buy them, we build them. So let me take you over to CNC and show you the process of building a cylinder head.
Okay, we'll do that as soon as we return with more here on Inside Drag Racing from DSR. Back on Inside Drag Racing, coming to you from DSR. Now, Tommy Johnson Jr., driver of the Make-A-Wish Funny Car, told us you would show us how they make their own cylinder heads here.
Right, we have about 10 CNC machines in-house. We make our own cylinder heads in-house. And when we repair a head, you stick it back in the CNC and mill it right back to the original shape it was.
Nice. I see back here, you're actually making one. That's a head being made.
That's the head being made right there. We make about 400 plus part numbers of pieces in-house in all these CNCs. Run them in different cycles, make different parts at different times, but blower parts, flywheels, rocker stands, fuel pump extensions, you name it. Over 400 pieces of our cars are made in-house.
That saves a lot of money, right? Have to buy them from outside, it would cost more.
It saves a lot of money. Plus, you can build something, to your spec. Something you maybe have a little performance advantage. You can't keep it in house. Make our own connecting rods as well.
Whoa, wait a minute. Connecting rods, you make those too?
We make our own connecting rods in house. We have 3 CNC machines that run full time making connecting rods. Go through a lot of those.
Boy, those are big, huge connecting strong enough to withstand the nitro motor.
Absolutely.
How much horsepower now are you making?
Pushing close to 10,000 horsepower on these engines.
Wow, no wonder things break, huh?
It's no wonder we go through a lot of parts. That's right.
Another side note that the viewer might be interested in, a set of heads like this, if you bought them from like Bad Brad or something, about what would they run for a set?
You know, a bare set of heads, probably $5,000-6,000 for no valves or anything on them. So,
And how many sets of heads do you carry in your particular rig?
oh boy, I would say there's at least 10 sets of heads every time we leave to go to the races.
Times 17s.
Times 17. That's a lot of heads.
Yeah, so that's why you now
These
do them in-house.
machines run all the time.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, this goes on 5 days a week, normal 40-hour work week. This is running to support the 17s right here. Now, something else I know you guys go through a lot of are clutches.
Clutches are what makes our cars go down the racetrack. And clutches are very important. You want to see clutches? I'll show you some clutches.
Let's take a look.
Now, you want to see clutch disc? There is some clutch disc in this room.
This is unbelievable, folks, let me tell you. And I saw boxes out there of brand new ones that aren't even open.
That's right. Clutch discs are made in batches, so we get a batch at a time. And after the race, after you run them, we run 2 new discs and 3 used discs. Run 5 total discs in the clutch every run.
Okay.
After the run, they need to be reground. The discs that you can reuse, you can only use them until they're so thick. You grind them too small, then we can't use them. So after the race, all the discs are able to be reused. The crew gathers them up, brings them in here. We throw them in the clutch grinder. We have to true them back up and grind them flat again. Then after they're done with that, they got to put them all back in the piles. We have different Rockwell hardness of disc, softer disc, harder disc, and they got to have a certain pack thickness. You want the same thickness all the time. So
There's
you have to go
shelf after shelf here. I mean, it's endless.
yeah, each team has their own section, has their disc. Each crew chief likes a certain disc. They don't like this disc. Well, another guy might like that disc.
Oh my gosh, this is unbelievable.
Yeah, so then they come in here and then they start sorting through. This Rockwell, this thickness, I need a total package of this much. So they sort through all the discs. You're going to make 8 runs in a weekend. You're going to need at least 8 clutch packs to go for the weekend.
How many clutch discs go in the clutch pack?
5 discs, 4 floaters.
Ah, the floaters. Now that's another thing, and that's this right here, right?
Yeah,
this
that's
is one
the
of the
floaters.
floaters.
Floaters goes in between every disc.
Okay, and do you resurface those?
No, that's the recycling bins we saw. Those are the recycling bin. One and done.
Now wait a minute. One run, and 4 of these are gone.
Yeah. The heat, the temperature is just too much. It warps them too bad. They're hard to grind back flat and be able to repeat the same every run.
And then how many runs do you get on a clutch disc before it goes?
That varies. It depends on how much clutch you're wearing on the run. Once it gets under a certain measurement, you can't. They don't act the same, and you can't use them anymore. Besides, you can't get the total pack thickness that you need. So varies. 2-3 runs, usually the most out of one disc.
Okay, and I understand you have another machine that these clutch discs come in. They don't look like this. You do some special things to them.
Yeah, but we can't go see that.
Oh, okay. So that's a Schumacher exclusive.
Well, certain things you don't want others to see.
I understand, Tommy, completely. All right, the mysterious clutch disc room. There's a machine back there behind the camera. They won't let me go over there and look, and they certainly won't let us shoot it. So with that, we'll take a break, and we come back more from DSR. Inside Drag Racing has been brought to you by ARP, the world leader in fastener technology, and by Original Parts Group, the world's largest source for GMA body parts and accessories, and by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping, and by Stage 8, the world's best locking fastener. Back on Inside Drag Racing from DSR along with Tommy Johnson Jr., I'm Ted Jones, and they have a dyno. Now, Tommy, there's not a dyno in the world that can dyno a nitro motor.
No, this is a blower dyno. We all the superchargers, we dyno them before we go to the races. We dyno them when we get home to see how much they've fallen off. We rebuild them through the weekend. We want want to see what condition it is after so many runs. Then we rebuild them again and dyno them before we leave to go to the next event. So you might dyno a blower 3 times for one race.
And if it doesn't do well enough, you're just measuring flow, I guess, huh? Or
Right, you can
boost?
restrip it. It doesn't have enough boost. You can restrip it. You can change some stuff on it and try to get the boost up. Or, you know, they want to make sure they know what they're putting on because it changes the fuel curve. It changes all kinds of stuff depending on the supercharger.
And it has one of the biggest electric motors I've ever seen. I mean, it's unbelievable, folks, and it's very, very noisy.
It is, when the blower dyno is running in this shop, you are aware of it, put it that way.
Everybody in the shop is aware of it. Meanwhile, they'll do a poll here in just a minute on that. We caught up with the vice president here at DSR. His name is Mike Lewis, and he answered a bunch of very interesting questions. Listen to this. Mike, what is your basic job? What do you do here at DSR?
I kind of oversee most of everything, not to the extent that I get involved with the crew chiefs on tune-ups or the mechanical side of things or the machining. Just my job is to make sure the teams have the resources they need to get their jobs done. And sometimes that means working with Don on projects, could mean working with the community, working with our various vendors. It's a fun job.
Now, we haven't been out front yet. We've seen the shop. Tell us what goes on out there.
Well, in the front office, we take care of all the marketing and public relations for all of our sponsors. Obviously, all the accounting, reception, merchandise sales, and so forth all take place on our front wing.
If I went out and bought a funny car team, why would I want to come and join Don Schumacher?
Well, that would give you automatic access to the latest technology from the clutch standpoint, from the supercharger development standpoint. We build our chassis in-house, both our top fuel cars and our funny cars. But more than anything, it would give you access to the brightest minds in drag racing. Tyler Kahar directs our racing operations, and then each team has its own crew chief. And every one of those teams works together. The data from one team is available to another team. And if a team is struggling, there's plenty of resources, mostly human resources, to bring that team back together to make sure the equipment is machined properly, installed properly, all the technology settings, everything is available under this building. So the likelihood of failure here is next to nothing. The likelihood of success increases times 7.
Now, if a person had a team and wanted to join, did they contact you?
Sometimes, ultimately, I mean, all I can do is be a conduit so that they can sit down with Don. And understand everything in this building is owned by Don Schumacher.
What kind of sponsorship dollars do you need to campaign a nitro car?
Well, in a ballpark is $3 to $3.5 million. And then you could afford a good crew, a good driver, and a full trailer full of parts, 10 short blocks, 10 sets of cylinder heads, 6 superchargers, 6 manifolds, enough clutch parts, plus the funding to put the team on the road.
Boy, that was some tour, Tommy. Actually, I appreciate you letting us come in here on Inside Drag Racing. And this lobby is very impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. You can see everything, all the accomplishments that Don Schumacher Racing's been able to accomplish.
A few Wallies.
A few, yes, there's a few.
Everywhere you look.
Yeah, we're running out of room, I think.
You're contributing.
Yep, got one in here already.
All right. Well, folks, that'll bring to a close another edition of Inside Drag Racing. I'm Ted Jones, Tommy Johnson Jr. Thank you very much. So long, everyone.